All right, so the rendering system in Magento. Well, we've already we dipped our toes in that one, that last section. This section is broken out. This is actually I love this lesson because it really it's really easy to compartmentalize these different things. So we're going to look at templates, blocks, and design layout. So we kind of hit you with these background pieces before we hit you with the stuff that ties it all together. So we certainly won't make it through this section by the end of today, but we'll get started. We just saw this, okay? In the course of processing a request, we have to access the layout object to get our layout involved in the request, okay? And then we have to call render layout to get the blocks rendered. We're going to walk through templates and then blocks and then basically the rendering and then back up to layout XML. Because that's how we do it. I don't know not quite sure why we put that at the third. I think just basically we want you to understand the different components first and then get an idea of the glue that binds everything together. I believe that is the master plan behind this. So this first lesson, though, we also delve into the fallback scheme. So that'll be probably about as far as we'll get today. We're not going to get all the way through this lesson, I think. So, quick reminder. I mentioned this the other day being Monday. The only other day, yesterday. When you're thinking about a theme, I think it's generally a good idea to consider templates and skin together. So what that maps out to in the file system, app design, and in this case we'll just deal with the front end because we're not going to review skinning the admin or theming the admin. So app design front end and skin front end. Okay? So really these two levels. Because under here is where we get our package and theme. Right. So packages are collections of themes. And generally, aside from the base default package and theme, I mean, you only got one shot with your package. This package is the thing. You specify a package, and then you're stuck with the rest of your configuration. So, skin files, again, these are going to be accessed directly by the browser. You'll want to use Magento methods to get them included so that they will also fall back. But these can be accessed directly by the browser. These items cannot. All right, so template structure. I think I gave a little overview of this already. You have basically output block, and that output block is going to contain any number of children and other descendants. So layout files, the XML, layout XML is where we specify our templates and the blocks that are going to be rendering them. And based on this layout structure, we get this. Okay. That's a little anemic. But, all right. So, what about themes? We know this now. A single layout file named local.xml where all layout updates are placed. Yep, start doing it. It makes sense. It hurts at first, but you'll kind of work your way through it. And it really is the proper way to do it. again, probably the most convincing programmatic argument of which I'm aware is, I mean, often if you want to move one block from one place to another, you'll just remove it from its parent block and then reinstantiate it over here. Well, other developers may need to do something to that block, and they're going to refer to that block especially if it's a block that's instantiated via the core. They're going to refer to that by its name, and you should, if you use local XML to move that block around, you'll not break other people's functionality. Again, this is actually not, Magento doesn't adhere to this convention, as we'll see in one of our examples, which is unfortunate. But all right, so in addition to our customized theme where we have our local XML defined, we will not copy any of the core layout files. So catalog XML, checkout XML, etc. wouldn't be found in our theme, except under the most extreme of circumstances where we need to have a block not be removed. The no CSS files with the same name as any CSS file in the default skin, I disagree with this. We say this is officially the convention, but I put a star here because, I mean, it absolutely can make sense. I don't see the need to try and have multiple CSS files to manage a skin. So I would, if I'm basing my theme on something, copy. There's just so many useful definitions in there. I mean, your alternative is to use that, and then you have to consider a combination of falling back to that file and using its definitions. And if you needed to redefine any of that CSS, you would need to, have more targeted CSS rules. And that to me is very cumbersome. So in this case, I would say maybe copy. Say you're basing your theme on the modern theme. I would copy the modern theme CSS into my own customized theme and edit it there. And then just be aware that if there's some subsequent update, maybe there are new blocks introduced in the system and there's new CSS associated with them, well, you'd want to diff that. So, no PHTML template files, except those that were modified to support the new theme. This is very good advice. So what this means is in my custom template, chances are I'm not going to change all of these templates. I mean, if you are, wow, that's awesome. I want to see that. I want to see that site in the Magento Answers showcase. That's a lot of work. So the thinking is, though, that you'll use the fallback, and at some point along the fallback, you'll have the complete theme, especially if it's from another source. And ultimately, you always have base default. So unless you have some overarching need, but say I need to do something, catalog product view, for example. Say I need to really just move something around in here. Well, all I have to do is copy this into my theme, and my template file will be used instead of this one. The great thing about that is, when it comes time for an update, I know exactly which files I need to examine, and I can copy the new updated theme back into wherever it is on my fallback, and I'll have any additions that were there. So this really, really reduces the overhead of upgrades, this practice. And I agree with this. Usually the number is very small. Any questions about that? Kind of look at the whole fallback scheme here shortly. By the way, if you guys are tired of timing out like I am, well, one of the settings you can change here. You may have some server configuration to do, but you can go here under Admin and set a session lifetime. All right, so under design, what do I mean? And this can be, I think this can be an actually kind of a tricky area here. So package specified, right? Package. That's you can start there. That's a folder in the file system under app design front end package. Again, if this folder doesn't exist, we can't put that value in there. So if I tried to put foo in there right now and save, it would say, nope, can't do it. First level of fallback, configured. Can't point. These things right here. Translation, templates, skin, and layout. That's the first value. That's the first place Magento is going to look. So app design front end package. So in this case, app design front end enterprise. And for a layout file, if I have something specified right here in this layout input box, that's the first. App design front end enterprise. And say I put foo there, foo. If it's not found there, so practical example. Hey, say I have a folder first, second. That's the order. So according to this, if my module configuration specifies some layout file, Magento will look in enterprise first. So app design front end, enterprise first, layout. If it doesn't find it there, it'll look in app design second, layout. If it doesn't find it there, we'll look in app design front end, enterprise default. Okay? These are configured. This one is just the package name, in this case enterprise, and default folder, which would contain, like all the other themes, layout, template, etc. And if not found there, base default. And we're going to talk about, continue our discussion on templates. So, all right. So again, this is here we have our models and controllers and our view layer. Our view layer is really these three things: layout, block, and template. And of course, the block has to involve the models. And that's the whole point in this game, is getting data out of the database and showing it to users. So let's see. So basically what happens, request hits the controller. Controller, if you choose, can deal with the layout object, which will in turn assemble blocks and their templates, and the blocks grab the models. That's really what this slide is all about. The directory structure that we discussed actually in depth yesterday, but I don't think we can go over this enough. So, all right. So we have the app design directory and the skin directory, and under app design, those are our design areas, and directly under skin are our design areas. And generally, most of the time you'll just be dealing with front end, but occasionally, if you need to add templates or customize the admin HTML theme, you can do that. It uses the same conventions. So in here we have our base design package and default theme. That's our final fail-safe fallback. And as a reminder, this is where our if we have any kind of custom template or layout file for our module, that's where we would put it. And then with Enterprise, you get this Enterprise default package and folder, or package and theme, and that obviously will contain some Enterprise-specific templates and layout, etc. Okay. So we'll actually be kind of looking at the administration panel some more and getting into this directory structure and the settings in Magento. So. If you ever need to describe themes, theming in Magento to your boss, etc. Or maybe you are the boss and you want to know, and maybe you want to quiz your employees. You would want to know these basic things. So themes are comprised of the skin, which are just the simple appearance things such as CSS and images, as well as some theme-specific JavaScript. Maybe one theme has some kind of accordion display, for example, and another doesn't. Well, that would be a JavaScript that you would kind of scope in with the skin. The functional aspects of your site. So these would be the templates. So this is what we discussed earlier with this kind of binding between block classes and templates. So some of the functionality is dependent on the presentation layer. So down here, we actually have to consider maybe for if we need some kind of custom functionality, well, we might actually have to deal with a theme customization as well as blocks. The block classes are not scoped per website. They are global. It's just the templates that will be changing per website or per store. So, again, the goal of all of this is to separate out, our business from how it's presented, quite simply. Down here we have some examples of the same data, the same kind of route, but in different themes. Here we have the default theme, and here we have the exact same content, but with the default modern theme. You can see it's a little different. And then there's also an iPhone theme, which just is a way of presenting your content in a slightly smaller box. Any questions on this? I think this is not an uncommon paradigm in MVC systems. So, again, the relationship with the file system. This is, I think there has been a bit of confusion out there as to what packages are and what themes are and what they do. But as far as packages go, they are nothing but a container of themes. And we saw yesterday how package really, once we set the package, that's our fallback scope. We get a couple layers here. Well, actually, we get 3 layers, 2 of which we can specify. And then after that, it's base default. Granted, we can use the configuration scope to set all of this stuff in either website view or store views. So, again, as a fun little test, you can actually try and put in some string here into the current package name. And if you don't have a corresponding folder under App Design Frontend, the system will actually raise an error. All right, so, and you can see here how whatever you supply here for a value has to be present here under App Design Frontend. And then again, just as a refresher, here we have this was our first layer of fallback. Our individually configurable translations, templates, skin, and layout values. And then we can specify a default folder that would apply for all of those. And then, of course, there's the implicit package default, and then from there, base default. Okay. So, yet again, I'd like to show you more about design packages and repeat myself here. So, I like this slide, though, because it has a very good representation here. So, for a given store, for example, you might have a full stack for one website and a full stack for another website. Maybe you share a product base, but have completely different looks and feels for either one. So for that case, I would probably set different packages. And if I had multiple store views, maybe language differences or just slight variations inside those, I could actually have these varied themes under there. So as you see, right now the system is very, very flexible, maybe even almost a little too flexible. But with Magento 2, from what I understand, we're actually going to be getting even more fallback capabilities. I'm curious to see what it looks like. So, well, what are we doing here? We're writing config data to the database, to the core config data table. So that means that we could also set this information in our config XML. Of course, the only problem is once that information's been saved into the database, then our configuration in the files wouldn't apply. And here, we're actually changing the admin store to some new theme in the default package. Now, buyer beware, when Magento included the find feed extension, I'm not entirely sure why, but Magento is actually already using a custom admin theme for that. So that kind of stinks for us as developers because that actually takes away a little bit of our freedom there. But if you look in your admin HTML design folder, you'll actually see that find feed theme in there. All right. Let me see, anything else I want to say? Oh, one thing I did want to point out. The trick here is whenever you save anything, so here we have each of these is a section, and whenever you save one value in here, you're actually writing, you may be writing, if you're dealing in one panel, you actually may very well be writing data to the database for those other values. So you have to be very, very, very careful about using configuration in your files if you also have a corresponding configuration piece in the system config screen. Okay, so now we're going to create our own theme. On to our exercise. Create your own theme and register your theme in System Configuration Design Themes Default. So this is what you'll be opening up your admin panel. Let's see, in the new theme, override page 1 column PHTML. What does this mean, by the way? Override in your new theme, override page 1 column PHTML template. So why would we do that?
You don't have to wait.
Exactly. Yeah. We want, in our theme, we want basically whatever this template is doing, we want it to be different in our theme. So that's why we would override it. And how would we do that? Yeah, basically, I mean, exactly that. You find where it is, either in maybe base default or if it's an enterprise-specific template, maybe it's an enterprise default, and basically put that same path so under your theme. So in the template folder, in this case, page 1 column, you'd make a page folder under template, and then copy this file there and make your changes. All right, so hop to it. I'll do it as well. So I will walk through this as well, and you guys can, if you like, you can kind of watch what I'm doing. So, again, what are we doing? This is if I know I have to change the way some template looks in a theme, this is the process you have to go through. So in our case, I need to make a new theme, and what that entails is a setting here, as well as a setting, as well as creating a folder. So I have my enterprise package, and I'll leave that set for now, and then I'll have a default for, let's see, I'll make my default training, and save config. And because I have this string, training, well, all I need to do then is go here. So what were my values? So app design front end. Okay, I already have an enterprise package. So now I just need to create a folder named training. And then under that, I'll need the subfolder template, because that's where templates go. And I've been asked to override the page 1 column PHTML template. So I'll grab the one that's currently being used, because usually you just want to customize whatever's being used. From here, and I'll make the folder, I have to have the same path, And again, that's why we never specify, you never specify a part of the theme in your, when you're assigning a block to a template. It's always just relative to some template folder. And I will paste this one column template in here. And I always get rid of this because once I customize this template, it's mine. So now, up here above content, I can add a header that says, this is my custom theme. And let's see here. I refresh my home page. Look what I have. Okay, does everyone else have this happening? I'm actually going to change my scope back. That's one of the. There's no warning, by the way, when you're doing your configuration. If you have something, say, set at a store view or store level, some value, that's the primary value that would be used. So that's the main value. The more granular, focused in the scope, the higher the priority. So if I have something set there, and then I start doing all these changes up in default or website level, and they don't change, it's the first thing you have to do is go and look and see if there's something set at a lower scope. It's very frustrating. So that's why I try and set things, you think through the application, you try and set things in your configuration as high up as is reasonable, which oftentimes can be the default, the default config. Okay, so I have enterprise as my package, I have training as my default. So let me see if I add template here. And I'll say this is highest. So that's the highest level of priority in the case of theming and fallbacks. Save this. Right. And then I would just simply create. Oh gosh, I did it again. New. Highest, and then template. And actually, I know I'm going to be doing the one column, so on page. All right, so I just made these folders here. But now you see, this is all of my possible configuration in this one scope. And you can see how that maps out in the file system. Enterprise package, default theme, highest theme, training theme. And it's just an unfortunate, well, it's not, I mean, it's understandable. Default, just, yeah, okay. Default doesn't mean primary. In fact, default means basically last. From a certain perspective, that does make sense. But it can just be very, very hard to internalize. So, and then also you have this default sitting here. So I used to, for a very long time, I thought that if I specified something here, that would become the default, and the default folder would be ignored. But no, the default folder is actually specifically specified in the code. So I have enterprise package, which contains highest theme, training theme, and you don't have to have a default theme, but if you do, Magento will also look there. So now, if I were to go into my file system, and okay, I've got this one customized already, so I will. But you see how these template pages, I still have the same folder structure here. So if I make a one column PHTML here and edit this one, so this is my highest custom theme. Well, the expected behavior would be that my home page would now use that. So again, all that happens is when the system goes to render all of these blocks, Magento just simply evaluates the theming configuration to find out where it should look and in what order. So I have, if you'll look up here now, my highest. So, and if I remove my highest, or if I misnamed it or put it along the wrong path, then the next place the system would look to include the file would be in my training. So it would be front-end enterprise training, template page, 1 column. And if not found there, we look in enterprise default. And if not found there, base default. Did that help?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Can you show me again that developer tool to show the blocks there again?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean this is a fantastic tool if you're just learning. If you're just not familiar yet with the. Let's see. So again, and this is the trick, is that you actually go all the way down here. It's under the developer, so the last section, and it should show up here in debug.
Oh, okay.
But it doesn't until you change the scope. Who knows why that is? Why they made it this way? Free lunch for whoever answers correctly.
It was when they were working last.
What's that?
So they were working last, so it just didn't.
It should be that way.
It's a good answer. Okay, you get free lunch. Was that Stacy? You said
I was
something?
gonna say it might have a different, the answer that it shows might be different depending on your scope.
Well, yeah, it would. I mean, in fact, and I could actually change my scope from main website. So from my website scope down to a store scope, and just have it, just like I could have it for just my English store. And I could also add my IP in here. I used to, the very first time I thought, oh, what a great tool. I can put IPs in here and everyone else would be denied access to my site. No, this just means if I add it here, my IP address, then the system would only render this template path hints as long as I'm browsing for my IP address. Great thing to do to your boss. I go to the site. Oh my God, path hints are on. Or new developers. I love doing that to new developers too. Oh my gosh. And there's two options here. The template path hints, which will give you just the path to the file under app design. And then you can add the block names. And that's another really cool feature if you want to know which block class is involved. Very handy, because then you can use template path hints to find out what those templates are and which block is being used. So, to your example, Simon asked a very good question, and that is, you've got some custom module and there's some custom blocks, and you have no idea what's going on. Well, okay. How do you find these things out? Well, again, you could use this. You could use this tool.
It can get complicated, and you can't see the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. It can be
Even
just
in the
they
source code, it's hard to figure out.
they overlap. What I would do, so I'm going to go ahead and turn these off just because they're kind of distracting. But, I'm sorry, I didn't answer the question as to why you have to change it down. Because the admin uses the exact same rendering system as the front end. So if we set it in the default scope, well, the admin runs in the default scope, so we would have template path hints here. Incidentally, you could actually go into core config data and look for this path here and just put that path in a configuration because you're never able to set this value at a default scope. You could actually enable path hints in here. There's also someone, it took forever for someone to do it, but I did see on the net someone put out there, or you could add some system XML and change there's actually just one little node that had to be added in the correct position to show these values here. Well, two nodes really. To show these values here for the admin. So you could actually build that administrative piece. It's all XML, baby. All right. I will buy myself a free lunch today. All right. So yeah, I rather like that exercise. So let's do that. So did I save this yet? No, save. All right. So I mean, probably the best way to do it. Interesting. Oh, caching. Let's see. There we go. So that output block was that block was cached.
But before you move on to so what you just said earlier was one of the use cases for setting a core value in a conflict class. If you want to do that.
Yes, and the reason that's okay is because
It would never be overwritten.
it can't be overwritten at that scope, exactly.
Unless you know.
Yeah. So, let's see. I don't need that. Now, let's look at, okay, so I've got this, okay, so I can play with my template here. All right, I can say, well, actually, the very quick way would be to simply do get class this. And now, I can refresh. And you see my class name here.
Yeah, that's what we did. So as far as walking through the layout files and stuff, that's just redundant.
Well, I mean, you can do that. That's a quick way. But if you really, and actually, this is how you can teach yourself more and see all these relationships. What I could do, I mean, I know. Let's say I want to find out. Okay, where is this header? Where is this? Okay. Well, I would need to go into the layout. Well, I don't have any layout in any of my themes here. I would need to search layout for, let's see, name equals header. See if it's defined anywhere. Oh, I see. Checkout, CMS, customer, page. I'll go with page. So I can go in here, and this is in my layout XML, and I see page HTML header. Header. That's where that block's defined.
Page block HTML.
Bingo! Factory method. Factory method. This is create block. So layout, create block, and this is the string that gets passed in. So page, our class group name, short for Mage page, and it's a block. So we're Mage page block, HTML, header.php. Getting there. I'll feed you, baby birds. And you can obviously you can use that for everything. So, where is this? Mage page block, template links.php. And the name of the class is Mage page block template links. Mage core text list. So Mage core block text list.php. That's how you can read all of these. And again, these method calls in here. Those are just going to be methods that are methods that are defined in that class. Interestingly enough, we have a lesson on exactly this. Mage, page, block, switch. Okay, you guys see the kind of pattern there? And that's actually in my mind. That's what I do every time I look at this. Mage, page, block, HTML, welcome. Yeah, very cool. So, I mean, somehow that block has to be created, and that block is either going to be created directly in the controller, or it's going to be in some layout XML somewhere.
That has been something.
Well, or it could also be, you get the layout object and create a block in a template.
Oh.
You can just, and in that scope, it's just,
Same way you would do it.
Basically it's this, get layout, create block. That's kind of obnoxious. Okay, so we did this. Wow. Now, let's actually get more into this. Let's get more into packages and themes. So we'll play with these a little more. So create and register a new package. Before you guys do anything, what does this mean? Create and register a new package.
Create the new folder under the front end.
Yeah, what are we creating? We're creating a folder. Registering the package. Entering that folder's name into the configuration. Okay? So, let's see what that looks like. You guys can watch me and do this yourselves, but let's see what this looks like here. Oops. There we go. All right, so I'll go back to my design, and I'm going to change my scope. So, I'm going to say, foo. And I'm going to say, what's going to happen? It's not going to work, right?
Did you create a full folder?
Exactly. I didn't create this folder yet. An error occurred while saving this configuration. Package with this name does not exist and cannot be set. Literally, this is the file system. You have to have that folder present. So, I will need to go into my file system here. By the way, also that fetch, this where I was showing you guys about this real path check in fetch view, it's also where the template path hints are added. So, let's say I create. I'll do a nice custom package. Okay? I might even go so far as to copy this string and then paste it here. Now, what's my expected behavior? Yikes, well, looks like I have some data, but I don't really have any content. And I don't have any styling either. So, the reason you don't have any styling is because Magento does not have, there's no CSS in the base default.
Yeah.
But, if we look in here, if we look at our source, we're going to see base default specified everywhere. Base default, base default, base default, base default. So that's just to prove that, I mean, the system first, let's see, where is the system looking for all of these, all of our stuff? Well, it's looking under this custom package. So first we're looking first step. And this is app design front end. Okay? First step, system is going to check in custom package. For templates, we look in highest. Template. Now, for layout or skin or translations, the first place that it would look would actually be in training. Does that make sense? Because if we put highest in all of these, then that's basically like setting a default at a higher level, okay? So first step for templates is highest. First step for anything else would be custom package training. Now, next step for templates, like I said, would be custom package training. And this is template as well as layout, skin, etc. Okay? Then the next place it's going to look, custom package default. Train. Okay? And again, template layout skin. Not found there, base default. And doop. Okay. That is fallback in Magento. And again, you can configure it in each scope. Yeah.
And it happens for every single template file you have in your layout XML.
Every single template file, every single layout, every single skin. Well, currently we have this. Okay. The boss will yell. Now what we would need to do would be probably at least copy a default folder under here. If we're basing it off the enterprise theme, why not? Okay. Now we'll go back here and let's see what happens. Well, now we have some good stuff. Yeah. Whoa, okay, we've got a search bar and but nothing else.
No, you need to deal with the folder under skin.
Exactly. So I need to make this a complete theme. Well, I'm going to have to do the same thing under skin, front end. And let's see, I have
You need to create a custom package.
Yep, exactly. So again, I have to create that custom package folder. Okay, and then I can probably copy this default from Enterprise under here.
Yeah, where I fix it.
And now, voila. I'm using, this is my package. This is custom package default. Okay? So I'm not using Enterprise anymore, but I have the exact same appearance. So, again, base default, we have enterprise default, and here we've actually copied this over, this default, or we could symlink here. So brand 1 is a package, enterprise is a package, base is a package. Under packages, and again, one more time, packages are folders under a design area. So app design front end, or skin front end, base, enterprise, brand 1, all packages. And these packages just do nothing but collect themes, which themselves are folders. Default, 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 and then our fallback here. So in this case, we might have, we might specify a default based on the enterprise default, and then here we're only going to drill up to this level, because I might, for one store or website, I might set variation 1, which will just have a few changes that override this, and for store 2 or website 2, I might have a few changes that override this. Okay? So the store theme here, we actually, of course, again, we have these 2 layers where we're going to look. We can specify up in these, in the highest level of configuration, where we specify individually template, layout, translation skin. And then also we have our default theme, and then we also have another default theme. We have that package default that the code specifies, and then the base default theme that the code specifies. That's the fallback. That's the priority. Again, possible to set all of these in different website or store contexts, which is just nuts. All right, create a new primary theme in the new package. Copy page, one column, new primary theme. Okay. Well, we saw that the package default was used.
Yeah,
Let me
how
see.
about
Let's
last-
see. Copy enterprise your theme to new package your theme.
Yeah, you didn't do that.
Yeah. I mean, what do we know would happen here? So, if we copy enterprise default theme to the package default, okay, that would be our default theme. That would definitely be used
Mm-hmm.
because the system will look in package default.
Mm-hmm.
And then if we make some other theme in here, or not here, in here.
Yeah, Iris training.
So if I do some custom theme here, I could do, let me see, I'll do another template page. Let's see, I'll just copy my one column. Custom package, custom theme. So I've done this, and if I go to my front end, it won't be used. Yeah, got to specify it in the configuration.
Yep.
You know, so I'm still using my package's default theme here. If I will ever refresh. So if I go back here and I add, actually, well, right now the system's looking in custom package highest, custom package training.
Mm-hmm.
I could go into my French store, and you'll see these values are mimicked here. They're not actually specified here.
Mm-hmm.
But I could actually
Custom.
uncheck this and put custom here,
Mm-hmm.
and then for my French store,
Mm-hmm.
oh, my store switcher's gone.
The button? No? It's on.
Yeah, it's on top. Why is my store switcher gone?
It's on.
We actually, this happened last time, and we looked it up. I don't remember.
Oh, should be at the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you lost one.
No idea why. I'll have to look that up. Oh, what's the... See, I think if I do, yeah, store equals French. There we go. Hey, custom package, custom theme. So, you see what I did there?
Yeah.
I'm using both the fallback, well, not, yes, I am using fallback because you're always using fallback, but I'm also using the scope. So in my French store scope, I said, hey, use the custom templates. good. Thanks for pointing that out. Okay. Okay. This should hopefully be clear, right? So let's talk our way through this. Create a new primary theme and a new package. So our new package is custom package. Custom underscore PKG. That's a folder. What do we do to create a new theme? 2 steps.
First create the folder for this new theme,
Create the folder for the new theme.
and then a template folder, and then page, and then
Exactly. Yeah. So so we'll create a folder under custom package. Under custom package, and we could say, custom, for example, like I just did. And then we just need to set the same path information under template. So it'd be custom package, custom theme, template, page, 1 column. And then once we save the configuration to use our theme, we have that. So you have a new package with default theme, new theme, and primary theme. Okay. So what would that look like here? So in my file system, all right, I've got custom package and a custom theme and a default theme. Now I could say, let's make a primary theme. So I want this one to be the most important. So actually what I would probably do would be if something is my primary theme, then I would be inclined, if something's my primary theme, again, I need that to be highest up. I wouldn't bury that down here. So I'll actually set this to use whatever I set at a higher scope. And in this case, Lord. Let's go. Primary, okay, and then custom. So now my primary template would be used. That make sense?
Yep.
And if I got rid of that primary theme, then the custom theme would be used because that's on the fallback. All right? Okay, that's that exercise. Now, so one last little bit, the recursive nature of templates. First step, we load these outermost blocks, and because we specify the root block as the output block, that's where Magento starts, and it just goes in and continually builds output and uses just output buffering. And then once all of that execution is done, takes the resulting string, attaches it to the response object, and we get content. So, you saw me do this a second ago.
Yeah.
I specified, I just went down into a store scope, specified a different setting, and then that became the theme that was used. In fact, I could, say I have that, so I have that customization in the primary theme. I could even go back. I could even go back here. So again, for my French store, we'll say I want to use the default for those templates and not primary. Well, absolutely nothing wrong with saying custom here. And I don't need to change the default, so now I can force the system to use those custom templates.
Or you just delete that primary.
Yes, that too. That too. So I could. specify that here. Actually,
4 by 34.
it should. I think if I save this setting, then this will actually save as no. I haven't tried that. Yep. Okay. All right. Okay, now this one is for you guys. Some of you will understand the purpose behind this exercise. For those of you who are uninitiated, I would like for you to find the price template. That's the template that renders, like the price. And it's under catalog. So you might even use the the path hints to find it.
Yeah.
But just open up that little file,
What file?
the template file.
Okay, so the product price, like all the prices obviously we're talking about.
Yeah, this would be
Product price.
basically everywhere the price is rendered, it uses this price template.
Design, front end, enterprise, temporary, right?
That would be the first place to look. Well, and for me, actually, I would have to look in my custom package. Okay? So, one approach you could take would be to use template path hints, or you can use just this bounty of knowledge that I've thrust upon you this morning. Maybe look in the file system intuitively.
Catalog. Product.
You don't have price.
Okay. So you're looking under enterprise default, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not there. So that means it's probably coming from base default. Okay? So base default template. Now, if you wanted to customize this, you would need to copy it into your theme.
Yeah, right.
So base default template, catalog, product, price.html.
Good.
Now, what are your thoughts about this little doozy? What is that? That's 400 lines for, $1.87. Yeah, we specifically asked for this little exercise because I know, clients like, hey, yeah, we want to do this little thing with the price, and you're just like, wow, it's going to take 5 hours. and the reason, I think, I trust that the developers of Magento are certainly much, much, much smarter than I. But my personal opinion is, and you will hear them giggle about this template, but I would like to see a lot of this code. I think a lot of this conditional stuff. Templates should be very simple. I mean, that's a tenet of MVC design pattern. So, of MVC architecture, templates should be very simple. There's way too much conditional logic in here. This is just a very complex thing that they have to do, though, because you have to determine all sorts of different tax and special price scenarios. There are many configurations in Magento that affect whether you display tax, even different ways of displaying tax. There are different kinds of tax. There are sale prices. There's a lot going on. And then they also have a need to have these IDs passed in, and then these IDs actually, and this is part of the problem with customizing. If you have like configurable products, if you start messing around with these IDs, normally in Magento, when you select configurable options that change the prices displayed on that product page will update dynamically via JavaScript, via these IDs. So just be aware that this template exists. How would we get Hello World to echo everywhere price is echoed? Well, we just I'd put Hello World at the very end of this file. Yeah. I wouldn't try. I mean, you could go in and try and find out exactly where this is, but you might find in one case we could find the one spot that's being used currently, the one little logical path for the one set of instructions that's going to render that price. But then if a user changes configuration, or if that product goes on sale, a different area of this file will be used.
This should be really done in the model if you really want to.
This would be in the view model. This would be, I think, the block class, the price block class, should handle a lot of this logic, and then just reliably have a much simpler template that into which it would feed. I mean, I think the template could have a very simple condition of or specify different templates to be used. It's. And this is not, by the way, this is not the price template that's used in the checkout, in the checkout cart space. There are different total renderers there, incidentally, which are added by configuration. But for catalog pricing, this is the price template, and man, it's a doozy. It's time for a break, I think. Let me see. Do I have any more exercises for you? No, I have a review. So, does anyone have any questions before we go to the break?